Good evening. Welcome to the June 1st, 2015 regularly scheduled meeting of the Guilford Parks and Recreation Commission. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. And some introductions are in order. I have the distinct pleasure and high honor of introducing the members of the commission and the staff. Over on my far right, Claire Kincaid Dunn, Suzanne McDermott, John Jagelski, Judy Sullivan,
It's a test.
Jack Penders, chairperson. To my left, Rose Dostert, vice chair. To Rose's left, Barbara Pine, Rick Maynard, director of the Parks and Recreation Department, our recording secretary, Catherine Stewart, and the woman behind the camera is Shannon Gale. Item 2 on the agenda is our public forum, and seeing or hearing no members of the public here, let's move on to agenda item number 3, which is correspondence. And we have 3 items of correspondence. And let's start with the May 8th letter to Rick Maynard from the First Selectman. And I'd like to read that one into the record, as well as one other one. May 8th, 2015, Rick Maynard, Director, Parks and Recreation, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut. Dear Rick, please allow me to express my gratitude for your department's contributions to the events of Friday, May 1st, 2015, that celebrated Nick Fradiani's accomplishments on American Idol. The planning, preparation, and hard work of you and your staff helped to make this day a memorable one for everyone involved. As you are aware, the community support for this event was truly incredible. The generosity shown by so many facets of our shoreline community, including that of the Parks and Recreation Department, helped to make the day a tremendous success that it was. With appreciation, Joseph S. Mazza, First Selectman. And also related to Nick Fradiani Day, we have a memo from Rick, our director, to Tony Anicelli, our parks foreman, regarding Nick Fradiani Day. And Rick writes to Tony, I want to thank you and the crew for the outstanding job you all did for Nick Fradiani Day. The preparation on the green, Rollwood Park, Chaffinch Island, and the basketball courts at the police department all required a lot of work. In addition, several of the crew helped with crowd control during the event and cleanup after. It was a huge help to me having the guys on the green throughout the day with setting up reserved areas and the special chutes for Nick's entry and for the people in the parade. Due to the efforts from you, meaning Tony, as well as Lou, Scott, Mark, Joe, Rich, and Keith, the town surely shined for the 10,000 people who attended the event, or the concert. And I think anecdotally, I think on that annual Memorial Day concert on the Washington Green in front of the monument, I think Nick Fradiani was a singer on it.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He did a wonderful job.
Okay, all right. Because I asked somebody about that. Well, what's the benefit in that for him once he gets the Singer of the Year? And I guess that's the first of many benefits. And that was an immediate, tangible benefit. And from his point of view and ours, think of the exposure. I mean, the positive. And the third piece of correspondence consists of a series of memorandums written by a resident of Edward Street, which is 2 streets removed from the northern part of Nut Plains Park. And also it consists of Rick's responses to that. And in general, well, I'm going to ask Rick to summarize, and they're complaints, and I'm going to ask Rick to summarize them, but basically, noise was a factor, and that was one of the, that was the title of the memorandum. Nut Plains Field noise. The scoreboard is too loud. A coach plays his car radio too loud. Coaches' whistles are too high. Coaches scream and loudly at the and as often as they like. There are cowbells out there. Players launching lacrosse balls at a fence. And there are increased games, people, and loud noises. Parking on the street. Players litter their litter. I'll use that word all over the field. And in the winter, the nets are left in the woods. And there are a few others as well. And Rick, I think we'd all would applaud you for the way you handled yourself in responding to those three memoranda. But if for the record, take us all through your responses, because I think it's important for that to go on the record.
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns was noise and parking and so on. So I went there on a Saturday because I wanted to view it for myself,
Yeah.
observe it, and I talked with one of the referees who was there, and I spoke with a neighbor who lived across the street. It wasn't this particular person, but someone else who was there, and his issue was more of the parking on the street. Not so much the noise, but just lacrosse balls being thrown against the fence.
And that's Dome Road, right, or Dome Road?
Yes,
Dome Road.
Dome, yeah, Dome
okay.
Avenue.
No
And
HM.
so I tried to address some of the concerns with her. I mentioned that there are other parks where, or fields that back right up to people's yards and other places, and I just try to illustrate that Nut Plains is not the only place where that's an issue. It's the only place where we've had some people expressing concerns, but there are other parks or fields that back up to people's property. There was a coach who was, his veins were popping out of his neck, yelling at the kids. He was pretty loud. So to address the concerns, I spoke with the lacrosse club president. I told him we don't want kids throwing the balls against the fence because that damages the fence. For one thing, we don't allow that. There is a lacrosse wall that they built in the park on the other side of the field. It's a big concrete wall. So I said, encourage your kids to use that, not the fence. The noise with the scoreboard. The scoreboard is the one thing that is new. I explained to the woman, this lacrosse has been here for about 15 years. And it's not new. What is new is a scoreboard. I think we're in our second or first season of the scoreboard. There is a buzzer that does go off every period, so 4 times per game. After
How
4
long is
games,
the buzzer?
And is it a loud
What's the
buzzer?
sound?
Pretty loud.
How long is each round of the buzzer?
second,
Okay, so.
About a second.
4
I mean,
seconds
it-
total?
You mean the buzzer, it buzzes for a second?
about a second, yeah. But it happens, about every 20 minutes, I think, whatever. John, I don't know if the period, a lacrosse
No,
period is 15
it's
minutes.
lacrosse, so I couldn't tell you what the...
But it happens about 4 times a game. If
It
there are
is
4
4
games,
times a game.
it's allowed. And so I went to see, I was thinking if there were, I couldn't remember what kind of sound system there was. So I was thinking if there had external horns, we could maybe figure a way to muffle it. But it's not, it's built into the scoreboard. So I don't know any way we can make that quieter.
And is it loud? I mean, do you think
It's,
loud?
I guess if you live in the area, it's annoying. It
Okay.
could be annoying. I
All right.
could, definitely wouldn't
Fair
deny that. The cowbells, I talked to the club president about that. He said there was a visiting team that had some. I said, well, can you kind of emphasize not to maybe bring the cowbells? There are going to be whistles going off. Coaches are going to yell. Kids are going to scream and shout. Parents are going to scream and shout. It's going to happen. There's just no way around it. It's an athletic
It's a sports
event.
field.
So, I just wanted to, I tried to do what I could to respond to as many of the issues as I could. And regarding the parking on Dome Avenue, the parking lot was full. The parking lot was full of cars. And my guess, I didn't count them, but probably 15 cars that were parked on Dome Ave. It is not marked for no parking. I checked it out with the police department. It is not posted no parking, so people do have a right to park there. The only other thing was the gentleman who lived across the street that I spoke with. He said there is a coach that comes when they have a practice there, and he has his radio on or a CD, and it's really loud. And it's loud music while they're practicing. So I asked him, they don't need to do that.
No.
So again, I went to the lacrosse club president, just asking if he could address that with that coach. So, I mean, I think I addressed everything I possibly could. She wasn't satisfied. She really thought we should move lacrosse off the field. Again, I told her, and she kind of disputed with me that it's been there 15 years. I lose track of time, but it's at least 15 years there's been a lacrosse field there. It's a long time since that's been a softball field. There's, maybe the activity has increased over the last few years because the number of lacrosse players has increased. That's possible. There may be more use.
Expanded
Twofold.
Yeah.
in the past couple of years, so I get it.
The amount of games there, yeah, definitely there could be more, but I just, she wanted to have us move lacrosse off that field, and I just basically told her, it's not gonna happen. There's no place to
There's
move
no place
them.
else to put it.
And if I do put them somewhere else, then I'm gonna move soccer over there.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's a park, it's an athletic field, and, I guess I feel bad that she lives next to it and she's disturbed by the noise of it, but I don't know what else we can do. So I want you folks to be a little aware of it,
I wonder,
let you know their concerns.
I wonder when police cars go by there with the sirens on, do people say, oh, those are too loud? Or when the snow plows come down those roads in the middle of the night, do people say, the plows are making too much noise, or the lights are too bright?
Yeah.
I don't think we can solve all of her problems.
No, but someone like the lacrosse ball is being thrown against the fence, that, I agree, that they
Certainly.
shouldn't be doing that.
And the cowbells, there's no need for that.
Cowbells.
There really is no need.
And
And
the
they've
person
addressed
playing their
that.
music loudly?
Yes.
Yeah, and I addressed all those with the president,
Well, the league should address that, and I'm sure they
Yeah, that's a
will, and I'm
league
sure they
issue.
did.
yeah.
Well, I think maybe a letter to the league president of lacrosse to say that we are trying very diligently to make the neighbors happier that they have a lacrosse field in their backyard, and we would respectfully request that you do the following
Yeah.
and bullet the things we're asking them to do.
Well, I think I have those in an email to him, but I didn't, I had a couple of separate emails, and one was about the noise, the
Right, but I think to
coaches.
summarize it, you
Yeah.
could say it's from the commission, or
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
Jack to write it from the commission.
That's a great
That might
idea,
even be a better
Barbara.
thing, that you put it together and Jack writes it
happy
and
to.
send it. It's saying that we're cognizant of the complaints, and we feel that some of them indeed have merit,
Yeah,
and so we would request that you do the following.
yeah.
There's one thing that we do have direct responsibility for, and that's the litter. I went down there a few times recently on weekends, and it was after the games, and there really wasn't much litter strewn around the field. There were a couple of plastic bottles. And I did notice that at the fence near the scoreboard, someone had very nicely put a large construction bag there where they could put things. And that probably was a response to the fact that the 8 or 9 green and purple cans for which we contract were back at the beginning of the playing field, at the parking lot.
At the parking lot,
right
yeah.
behind the fence. And of course, the length of that field, from that fence to the beginning of the first
Right.
field, that's equivalent to what, about 1 3/4 lacrosse field. That's a long
It's
distance.
a long way, yeah. And that's part of the problem, Jack, because I think because the barrels were not at the field, they were in the parking lot. And so, people are lazy, they don't walk to the barrel, they leave their stuff on the ground. But I addressed that with the trash company, and I told them they need to move those barrels where they belong, on the field, not in the parking lot.
Good.
Yeah.
And so I'll have to double check and see if
That
they've
should solve that problem.
done that, but yes, I mean, that's their responsibility.
And I did notice it's not relevant to what the writer had written to you. The sign for Depkin Field is there.
Yeah.
It's clearly there, and it's very visible, so that I think Judy first brought it to our attention a couple of years ago.
there.
And it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any comments, suggestions on that?
Is she a new neighbor?
24 years.
25 years.
Yeah,
24 years, 25 years?
yeah.
I live right next door, and I really don't hear, I can hear cheering, but I don't hear the rest of it. And I think sometimes when you live near someplace and it's a park, that you just, the noise is there, but you don't really zero
Sort of
in
tune
on
it- tune it out.
Tune out.
Background
So
noise.
I-
Unless you want to, yeah.
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 Want
I don't-
background.
It's a
I do
happy-
wonder
Happy
if
sounds.
the Lacrosse Association has really thought about how big their program's gotten and how little parking is available. You know, that is a concern. I would say of all the things that she wrote in there, I mean, you know, it is their street, they have people parking there, I'm sure they've been blocked in driveways, et cetera. It's something they really need to look at.
Yeah.
Because their program
They
has
probably should.
expanded.
And
mean, it
I
really
did,
has.
I did talk with Jim Portley about that, about seeing if there is some room, I think we can expand the parking lot a little bit.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able to take up 15 more cars, I don't think, but
Yeah.
there is some room to move there. And actually, I think I mentioned that, and one of her responses to that was that, well, no, now you can have more people coming.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get them off the street
But we
into
may
the
have
parking
to
lot.
do that,
And
yeah.
you had the same problem years back with, over by Calvin Lee,
Yeah.
with cars parking, and
Right.
that
Yeah.
has straightened itself out somewhat, I guess.
The police end up posting that, no
Yes.
parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, unless and until that additional parking matter is resolved, I'm sure it should be.
Yeah.
If they have tournaments down there, I mean, why can't they develop they, meaning the lacrosse league, develop some system where they maybe shuttle people from another location there and back?
They usually do the tournaments at the football field, right?
Yeah, football
I
field
was
is
gonna
right there.
say up at the high
This is just
school,
a-
they use the turf field. And the
Okay, well-
field that's over there is just, I think, just the younger kids'
It is.
It is.
league. I mean, they're
And the boys play there, the girls play at Long Hill, and it's mostly the boys there, and they use the Maturo field at the high school and the turf field. The older kids, I think, use those fields.
That's correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
Okay.
thinking of possibilities, though.
yeah.
Anything else? Thanks, Bill. Item 4, approval of the minutes of May 4th.
So moved?
Have a
Second?
second. Any corrections, additions?
Good to know.
If you want to take a couple minutes to read them. The mails were slow today.
Read them.
I got 2 minutes, big count.
Took days. to get
Wow.
there.
2 envelopes,
Okay.
2 sets.
Still,
Maybe it was.
Oh, yeah, so the feedback.
Well, I think it's somewhat explained by the fact that we're down staff
Yes.
in a major way in the department. so-
Yeah, I apologize for, they went to the town hall, they got there a little late on Thursday. It was just after 4, the mail had already gone over. The person who brought it over was told that they would go out Friday morning. They didn't, they went out Friday late, 4 o'clock Friday. And so our person who brought it over said, gee, if I had known that, I would have gone right to the post office with them. So I
And from a
apologize.
logistic point of view,
Well, we did it.
when the correspondence goes to the town hall, does it go to a mail room where they have to stamp them
Yeah.
or cancel them or whatever they do?
Mhm.
And then,
Then from there, they bring it to the post office.
So the postage is paid over at town hall?
Yeah,
Yeah, so if someone took it directly, they'd have to pay the postage.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that would be problematic. That's a lot of
Yeah.
but the
postage.
mail only goes out once a day from the town hall.
Yeah.
Right.
That's, you know,
Rick, I have a-
last thing, like
oh, sorry.
4:30.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Your voice is first, go. No, go.
I just
Ladies
have a
first.
question. Waste Tech, we didn't get bills from this month, or?
We're on the bills.
Oh, we're on the bills? We haven't finished the,
I moved ahead.
yes. It's okay, that works for me.
That's good, Suzanne.
You should see me run meetings at work. I'm like, we're not even done with this. We're out of here.
Where are we now?
We're reading,
We're
reading the minutes.
going to approve the minutes in 2 seconds.
if you're finished reviewing the minutes,
I'm-
you may
I am
not be,
finished.
but John is leafing through it.
I should have let
Jump
you
in.
talk first. Save
I
myself
was
the
on the bills. I
embarrassment.
was on the bills, too.
Oh, you were on the bills too? Oh, good.
Then let's
So
vote.
all those in favor of approving the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of May 4th, 2015, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Minutes carried. Motion carries.
You first.
Me first? Okay.
The bills.
Review and approval of expenditures for May 2015. John, let's make a motion then. The motion to accept those expenditures?
So moved.
So moved.
John?
Second. There we go.
And
I just have one question for Rick regarding it. It's the Last month was 80,500, this month is 111,000. Anything extraordinary sticking out for this month as compared to the month of the previous month?
I can tell you a couple of these, water bill, oh, sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong one, that's gas.
Looks like John Deere.
Seed and fertilizer, that's all those John Deere ones.
Okay.
That's a big chunk of it. I mean, all that,
It's seasonal.
about $8,000
Yeah.
worth of seed and fertilizer.
So we're getting into more seasonal
Yeah.
expenditures?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Any other comments, corrections?
We had a
Waste
question
tech.
over here by...
Yeah, did they not bill us this month? Waste Tech,
Somehow I knew you were gonna ask that.
yeah.
Probably not.
You know, it may have come in after these bills got printed out. I'll have to check in the office. We usually get a bill every month for them. It's a contract, it's the same
Yeah.
amount every month.
It's usually like, what, 1,400 or something like that? That's why I was
About
like.
2,300 maybe
20?
for the trash dumping, and about $140, I think, for the dumpster here.
We're not complaining, though.
That's all contractual, it's the same amount every month.
No, I was just curious, because next month it'll look huge.
Yeah, I'll double check it, like I said, it may have come in, because I think Bonnie typed this up before she left. She's out on a medical leave right now. And so it might have come in last week, and I, quite frankly, I haven't gone through all the other bills yet.
Could I offer a friendly amendment to the motion and cite the amount, the dollar amount, so that goes on the record, $111,033.05?
Certainly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved.
So,
I think it's on a separate line item. Is it?
Agenda item 6, departmental reports. Look, I noticed that a lot of the elements of your report are really contained in other parts of the agenda. But if there's anything in your report that you'd like to highlight here, please do that. For example, number 9,
That's what I was just gonna say. Number 9.
great minds.
Yeah, so we had the weeds, as you remember, removed last year. I withheld some of the payment because I wasn't happy, there were still some weeds there, and they come back
pretty
there's a lot of
quickly.
weeds in there. I don't expect he's gonna get them all out, because we're not gonna do a whole nother huge contract with him, but he is gonna come back. The machine he uses is broken down, so he's not there yet. I just told him that it's gotta be done before June 22nd when we open full-time. So I wanted to see how bad they were, so I went on the lake with Greg Bugby with his boat. He has an underwater camera, so we can see where the weeds were. And, I mean, there's some areas that are fairly clear, but others are weedy. And so I think we're gonna do a combination of things. He has and he's done this for us a couple times a year over the years. He has an underwater hedge trimmer, a weed whacker. And he voluntarily goes out and he cuts those weeds down for us.
Wow.
So he said he would be willing to do that again, but meanwhile, sometime between now and June 22nd, I want to get the contractor back to pull more, actually pull them out by the roots. I think that with conversation with Greg is also, he's an expert on aquatic weeds, and he has recommended that we should put money in the budget, which we did, for next year, of a chemical treatment to treat the weeds. And there's a permitting process, so he said we wouldn't be able to get it done for this season anyway, but we can start the process for that, and he would help us with it, so that we can get the approval. And I asked, can we get multiple year approval, so we don't have to go every year? If we know it's going to come back every year, can we get a multi-year approval? He said you can probably get like 2 years at a time on the permit. So we will try to do that, and
Maybe a better price for a 2-year contract too, right?
possibly, and it's something he might be able to do through the Agriculture
ask.
Experimental Station, and the price is very, very good if they do it. But I'm thinking if we at least get the DEP permit over a 2-year period, so we don't have to go back every year to do it, because it's a pretty cumbersome process, the permitting process. So we're going to work on that, but meanwhile, it just hasn't been really hot yet. I mean, Jacobs Beach, we've had pretty good crowds down there. I was there Memorial Weekend, I was there Saturday, I was up at the lake Sunday, and when I was at the lake, there was nobody there yet. That was about 1:30, we opened at noon. Nobody, and they said they had one family came in on Sunday wasn't a great day,
No, it wasn't, yeah.
but Saturday wasn't a lot of people either, it was not a big crowd. So people are flocking to the beach, and it's turned around. It used to be that most of the people went to the lake
Yeah.
because the water, fresh water. But I think because of the improvements at Jacobs, we're getting good crowds of people down there now.
Good.
Do you have any indication with beach passes, if there's an increase, decrease as compared to this time last year?
I don't know off the top of my head. We've been selling them like crazy. In fact, one of the days I was at Jacobs, I think said they sold, at that point, they sold 10 beach passes right there. So, yeah, people are coming in for them.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know how you number them, but I got a beach pass recently, and I think my number was like 1,240.
It might be, we had some leftover from last year, so
okay.
we didn't get, the ones we had left over, we
Okay.
didn't get new ones.
That's okay.
So we just continue with those numbers.
Okay. I was just trying to give John some.
I wish I could say, yeah, we sold
Really good.
1,000, I assume it was a senior pass, but,
Maybe that's why it was a high.
No, I could
number,
waive
because
my
it was a
class for
senior.
that. On the surveyed swim area, the part of the lake that's going to be treated, I'm assuming it's just this our swimming area,
Correct.
not the
Yeah.
whole 89 acres.
no, just ours. Yeah.
Okay.
Rick, I had a question on the Plan of Conservation and Development, without going through the whole thing. I know there's been some controversy about it, but have you read it in its entirety?
I have, there was not a lot of Parks and Rec stuff in there.
That was my question.
No, because you remember when you were involved with that, I
Right.
think, and they had like a list and who's responsible.
Right, right. It was the coastal resource
That's
plan.
what it was,
wasn't
yeah.
this one.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't go anywhere either.
There was not a lot of, one of them was to continue promoting special events and activities. We do, just continue doing what we do.
You mean in this report?
In this one, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think, there were very, very few things that I probably should have highlighted and given to you folks, but there wasn't anything that was like a red flag or outstanding or anything unusual in
They
it.
didn't tell us we should buy a boat and go to Fountains Island more often?
No.
Okay. Last week.
I have that too, Barbara. It might be helpful just to circulate it to us.
You did send it
I
by
think I
email,
did,
but
yeah.
I think it would be
Yeah.
helpful if we had a hard copy that we could go through that was flagged.
I'm going to say that
But that gives us a perspective.
Or I can just make copies of the pages that pertain.
the
Right.
action item list is on the town's website.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the entire
Yeah, they have a
thing's on,
summary of it,
but you
right.
can go to the action item
We don't want the
section.
whole
Oh, okay, that's helpful.
It's like a
And that's the best
summary,
thing to
couple
do, because
pages.
it lists
It's-
everything to be done, and then all of the commissions they think should deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's informational. It gives us a perspective on the whole
Sure.
department.
Mhm. Yeah.
To back up, just, you can purchase the beach tickets at Jacobs rather than
In the
coming
lake,
in
yeah, we allow
and the
both,
lake?
yeah. Yeah, up and through, can't remember if we do it all summer, just in the end of June, I forgot how we do that, but we do have them available at the beach. Which actually, I had an email from somebody on Saturday, I checked on my phone, someone just moved to town and they wanted to go to the beach, and said, how can I get a beach pass? And I said, here's how you can, go to the beach. You can buy one right there. I said, just show proof of residency, if you just move, show something that shows you're a resident, and you get a resident pass.
I just have one question for Rick, too. Your Board of Selectmen meeting with Barbara about the dogs and the beach areas. Can you summarize as to how
Why
that
don't
went?
we wait until that's on the agenda?
Okay, well,
Dog park.
very
It's
good.
a C, 8C.
B.
C, no, that's
C.
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 Okay.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry, Arden Street.
Just one item that you don't have on the report, as a follow-up from last month, about the woman from the Little League, the director of their
Oh, yeah, about the soda
refreshments
machine?
and concessions.
I met
How
with
did
her,
that
I'm sorry,
work
I
out?
didn't put that there. Yeah, I met with her at Bender. We'll have to have a new outlet wire brought in, because there are two outlets outside. They're on either side of the building where the restrooms are. But the width of the soda machine would make it inaccessible with a wheelchair to get to the bathrooms. It would be on the sidewalk, so I told her we can't do that. It's got to be accessible. So the place I'm suggesting we do is where there used to be a water fountain, John, you might remember.
Yes.
Right next to the snack window. There's already a hole through there, it's kind of blocked off with sealant, but it's not like they wouldn't have to drill a hole through the block wall. There's already one there you can use, and just run a wire through that, put an outlet out there. So I told Little League, though, I spoke with the Little League president, that I would expect them to cover the cost of doing that. That shouldn't, I don't think that should be our Parks and Rec. And he said, well, if it's under $200, then we'll pay for it. If it's more, then we're not gonna do it. So
Fair enough.
I've talked to 2 different electricians, I'm waiting for someone who's willing to go up and take a look at it and give me a price. But I don't think
You're
it should
not
be
going to go
expensive.
forward with the machine?
It won't do it if it's more than 200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to put that on my report, I did meet with her up there.
Can you summarize Tony's or highlight it?
Why don't you just have questions if there are any questions?
Yeah. well, just-
Okay.
Tony's very thorough.
Very thorough.
Yes.
I know. I like his reports.
And
It's
it's
good.
typed out
Yeah. Very good sense of what
if
work
we
they've been
ever
doing.
get one
Yeah.
for rainy days.
And Terry Buckley's senior program report?
Yeah.
Any questions? And I guess Ellen doesn't have one because she's been really doing a lot of extra work.
She's been tied up, yeah, she's just
Yeah,
thinking
we
that.
understand that.
Rick, you're down a lot of staff right now, aren't you?
Yes.
Today, I was the only full-time
Yes.
person here. We had Patty, who's part-time, Paula, who, they both worked all day, and an intern. Terry was here half a day, she had half a day scheduled to be off. Ellen had son was sick, and Bonnie's out, and, she's out for 4 to 6 weeks, and down 2
When might
program
new
people,
staff
so
be coming?
we're pulling things, we're making things still happen. Thank God, we have good staff, they all pulling their weight and more, filling in, and I signed several tasks to divvy them up to other people. I'm doing more of the stuff, and everybody's doing more than what they normally do, just because we're short. And we're getting along. But that's part of the reason that this went out late.
We understand that.
Thank
Yeah.
you for all your hard work.
It's everybody, it's a good team.
Yeah, it is a really good
Yeah.
team.
Agenda item 7. Rick, you want to report on the Standing Fields Committee and then the Green Committee?
Field committee, just we're working on getting 3 proposals for the engineering of the Upper Cox Field renovations. We have money in our budget next year to do the renovation. We're going to put it off a year, though, because if we take that field out of service, there's no place for these folks to go. We're going to wait till one of the fields at the high school comes online. So we're going to push that back probably a year, maybe 2 years. But we have, the money for the engineering is being donated by youth lacrosse, the 2 soccer organizations, and the high school athletic department. They're paying for the engineering study. So we have 3 engineering firms we're sending the specs to, which is waiting to hear back from them on cost. And then we also, Paul Schmidt and I went to the Board of Ed meeting about the Guilford High School having the second turf field up there, which they've approved. And the building, the high school building committee has approved it, pending money being available at the end of the project. That's, if the money's available, they've all agreed to go with a second synthetic turf field there.
Where are they going to
Where,
put it?
yeah.
Well, there's a plan for 2 more fields where the student parking lot is. And we're just asking one of them be not grass, but synthetic turf.
The
So-
current student parking lot.
Current student parking lot, yeah. There are two fields scheduled to go in there. And so we're just asking if one of them be the synthetic turf. It just saves on maintenance costs and downtime and fields being available and everything else. Like today, we closed all the fields, but today they could have played up there.
Do you think there's going to be, not a conflict, maybe a competition for those monies with the so-called black box stage?
Well, all I know is that
I know there's
It's
a strong,
already been built.
there's strong support for that.
There is, but
there's
all I can say is that the Board of Education has approved, I don't know what they're going to do with that, but we just wanted to talk about the turf field. They have approved going with a second turf field, synthetic
Good.
turf.
Okay.
What kind of field?
If the
Like
money
a
is available at the end of the project.
multi-purpose, or what kind of field is it going to be? Is it?
It'd be like the other one, all-purpose. It'd be field hockey, lacrosse, soccer, football, all the sports. Same as the current one, only a little bigger, because the current one is limited by the width because of the track.
Yeah.
And soccer likes to have a 70-yard or 210-foot wide field. That one is 65, 67 yards wide. And
It's a
I
little
think that
narrow,
6
but
feet
it's-
wouldn't make a lot of difference, but it does, I guess. They like the 70 yards. And so this field would be that full size.
So would that free up, to some degree, Kavanaugh Field for us up at Bittner?
Kavanaugh Field's a turf field. I mean, Mitchell Field. I'm sorry,
No, it's,
not Mitchell.
The
So-
field had been.
Yeah, Bittner Field, Sullivan.
I can't remember what the soccer.
It might a little, although the high school soccer team, they like playing on that grass field. They love Bittner. It's a premier field, and they love it. It's a, location, I mean, everything is just so nice about it. But by having a turf field, it does have a ripple effect, 'cause it takes some wear and tear off other fields. So again, if they play in a night when it's a little bit wet, there's no damage to a turf field playing in the rain or wet conditions. So it reduces a lot of cancellations. This spring was a perfect example. Every field was 3 weeks late being available because of all the snow and the dampness, wet mud and whatever. There was so much demand for that synthetic turf field. We couldn't meet the demand. I mean, people were willing to play at 8 to 10 at night at practice with lights and pay for the lights because they had no other place they could go. And so this spring was a very, not recently, it's been so dry until today, but the early spring was a perfect example of why that field is so needed. It's used year-round, not this year so much because of the snow, but in other years, there have been lacrosse groups and others who played there all winter long. They had practices out there and pickup games. You can't do that with a grass field. One of the selling points that I mentioned was at the meeting with the Board of Ed was that when the stadium field was a grass field, there were years that, especially if the home Thanksgiving game was here and it was raining, that field was a one-season field. Lacrosse could not play on in the spring. It was so damaged and dug up from the football in the fall that we had to take the spring and summer to renovate it for the following fall. It was a one-season field and basically a one-sport field, because field hockey couldn't use it either. It was damaged, at a football game during the season. So there's so many good reasons for it, and they supported it, and that's one of the things that the field committee's been pushing. So we're thankful for that. The only other thing on the Standing Field Committee is that Paul Schmidt is going to work up a plan for the drainage project at Baldwin School. We've been talking about that for a while, maybe 10 months or so. He's going to come up with a plan for that, and we'll get some, we'll go out to bid on that one. Hopefully this summer we'll get that one done. There's a problem with the water comes down that little hill where the old tennis courts used to be. And those, and even the lower fields below a hill, so they get very wet, and they hold water. It's just the kind of material that's there. It just holds, it's dense material that holds water. So Paul's come up with a drainage plan to get some pipes that'll draw it out, away from the field. So that'll, hopefully sometime this summer we'll be able to do that.
Good.
It's the Stanley Page Field at Bittner.
That's it.
Yeah, I said Sullivan, sorry.
It's all in one.
That's
It's
the
all in
softball
one.
field, right?
Cass Mitchell Field's a softball field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lucky Woody's not on the commission still.
Why, is Stanley his father?
No, his brother.
Yeah.
Green.
Green Committee, Rick?
We finally received 3 quotes. I think I mentioned at the last meeting or the meeting before that the Green Committee wanted to look at organic treatment of the green. And the one quote that I got for the late summer treatment, we had said that we can't do all of it. We can do some, but not all. We just don't have time with our manpower and other tasks. In the late summer was one that we couldn't do. And the one company that originally quoted was $18,000. That was ridiculous. So we got 2 other quotes. One was $4,300, the other $7,300. So, I mean, the $18,000, the guy is busy, he doesn't want their work. So that, I have a Green Committee meeting mid-June, and I'll bring those numbers to them. They're going to pay for it, so I'll let them know, here's what it's going to cost, and you guys decide if you want to do it. But it's going to come out of their budget.
Good.
We're happy to help negotiate that and, work with the people who are going to do it, but, but I mean, the green looks pretty good, except now because it's browned out, but I mean, it was in pretty good shape anyway. You saw it, before the American Idol, it was beautiful. We had all the rain, in the winter season, it was beautiful, green, thick grass. It's a little browned out right now because it's just been dry. But, well, that's going to be up to the Green Committee to make that decision if they want to go that way.
Anything else? Agenda item 8, unfinished business, subsection A, the community center security system.
A meeting
Okay.
on Wednesday with our IT guy, Tony Santangelo. We're going to look at the quotes that we have, compare them side by side, and, I want to start moving that forward, and because of a lot of reasons, I just haven't gotten to it. But that one, he and I are going to meet Wednesday.
Okay.
Subsection B, the proposed dog park.
Want me to speak?
Well, the dog park and then.
The dog park?
Yeah.
What? Chair? Yeah.
Well, Rick and two dog owners who are involved in organizing the dog owners and I walked a second possible location for the dog park up at Bittner. And we spent quite a bit of time hiking around and sort of imagining where fences would be. And this is in part because we want to make sure we have looked at any other possible sites as we promised that we sort of, it was implied that we would do. Actually, we were quite impressed with the location. For one thing, there's plenty of parking. It's out by the skate park, where you park right, but it's back from the skate park. It's on a hill. It's adjacent to some walking trails.
Yep.
It needs work, obviously. It would need some stairs for access, because right now you have to be fit and hike up the hill through the brush. And the biggest, I think, concern that we would have would be the removal of trees. There are quite a few, not huge trees. I mean, the park would be enhanced by some of the nicer, larger trees, but there are a lot of what we would call junk trees that have grown up that would have to be removed. But the dog owners seem to feel they can organize their
Does it
group.
abut anything that could possibly?
Ours, it's our property.
Okay.
We're the abutters,
Okay.
yeah. So, I don't know if you want to add anything there.
Yeah, it's basically where you take the right to go toward the skate park, where that
Yep.
gravel lot is, not too far up. There's almost a path that kind of goes up there, and it can extend where the storage areas are, where we have the topsoil, and, kind of behind that. It's that area. There's a bank, you have to go up, as Barbara said. As you get closer to where those mafia blocks are, where the storage areas, it is very steep there, and a lot of brush. But closer to the soccer field, not near the soccer field, but more that end, it's a little bit more gradual. It's not quite as hard. That's an area where Barbara's talking about maybe make some steps there or something. And as she said, it's adjacent to a trail. It's fairly
Our
level for
trail.
ways, and then it gradually slopes up a little bit. I think the dog, people representing the dog park committee, they like the idea of the hill, I think, a little bit too. So it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. There will be a little bit of a hill there too. And I think that, as Barb mentioned, some of the larger trees, it would be good to keep them there because it'd be shade. Wouldn't just be like a
Shade for
big open
the owners
field.
and the dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's an option
Right.
to look at.
but I think we were hoping to bring it, since we already approved peddlers as a commission, we took a vote. We were hoping to do that tonight and possibly recommend, but because we had to cancel the park walk,
Yeah.
should we do that as soon as we can, take the
We need
walk?
to reschedule that.
Let's reschedule it as soon as
Reschedule
we
that
can.
walk just so we can get moving, because
And
they
before
would,
the July meeting, too.
yes, because
Yeah.
they would have to be doing some things if
Right.
that were the case.
And meanwhile, I have the application from Planning and Zoning to get that started, but I don't want to start it until we
Right.
know where we want to go with it. So, but I have it, and when we're ready to go.
Right.
And John Cunningham was going to walk with us tonight also, and, because it's, for the Planning and Zoning, he's got to lay out something about where it's going to go, what it might look like, what dimensions are, and so on. So he was going to go with us tonight, so I contacted him and let him know it was canceled, and he's willing to go up there, anytime to look.
All right, then let's,
Let's set a date for that right now.
Yep.
So as long as we're there on the agenda.
Mondays are always good for me. That's it.
I'm sorry?
Mondays are always good for me. That's it. The end.
That's it?
That's it. It's my only free night. Even that gets taken.
The 8th.
How about Monday, June 8th?
I can't be there, but I've already gone to both sites.
Okay.
So I would be happy to cast my vote
Okay,
without going again.
okay.
What time?
Is that next week?
Yeah.
yeah, next Monday.
I don't think I can be there.
How about another?
Unless we
15th?
go at 5:30?
Well, we were going to go 5 o'clock. Too
Oh,
early?
that's good.
Is it too early or too late?
If we went 5:30, I think I could make it.
Oh, good.
I would love
Shoot.
5:30.
5:30
Because you
was,
drive in from New Haven,
Yes,
don't you?
yes.
what's wrong with 5:30? Because we don't have to go
Nothing.
so early.
There isn't anything wrong with it.
Before, we were going at 5 because of the meeting here at 6:30.
Yeah.
Are we just doing
It's dark early.
Bittner that night, or are we going to do Bittner and Pet, then go to Petler?
Probably Pitner and Petler, just to
We
compare the
want-
two, I
We
would
really
think,
want to
yes.
have a good comparison, I
You
think.
should do
Yes.
that, yeah.
Can we meet at Bittner, since I have no idea where Peddlers is?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
You will now.
I will.
GPS.
Okay,
So Monday,
5:30 and
June
Pitner.
8th, 5:30.
And I'll let John Cunningham know too, and if he's not able to make it, then I can meet with him anytime up there to look at it with him.
You're going to meet at Bittner.
It's his job.
Yeah.
The other one would be too scared to talk to anyone.
So Bittner first, and then followed by Peddlers.
Do we have to post that as a considered a meeting?
It is really,
Probably be as well, just to cover
It
ourselves.
is. yeah.
Is that something do you do that, or?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
Just in case the Denison people start getting,
Well, they'll see a
Filing
crowd
lawsuits
hiking
and
around,
things.
right?
or does they have an attorney who lives in Denison?
Okay.
Item 8C.
I'm sure I'm going to be named the dog lady.
Yes, you are.
And you should know that
Do you have one?
no, I have cats, I'm the cat lady, not the dog lady.
And she doesn't dog it either.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
All right, who's next?
Can we erase this part of the safety?
Well, Rick and, I'll save Rick's voice a little bit. Rick and I attended this selectmen's meeting where they discussed the proposed change to the ordinance. And there was, a bit of discussion. I still feel there's a little bit of confusion on some members' parts about the difference between a beach, which a swimming beach, and a shoreline area that has sand and water. And so I think, we have to just keep saying that we're not saying dogs should go on the beach. We're never saying dogs should be
Right.
off leash, or that people shouldn't clean up. Those ordinances are not going to change. It's the swimming beach part that we wanted defined more clearly. And they have done that in the proposal. So the result was that they scheduled a hearing for Monday, the 15th of June at 8:30 in the room at the town hall where such meetings are held. However, they might want to consider a larger venue if some of the dog supporters of dog access start showing up.
Is that AM?
Yes,
Yes.
8:30 a.m.
But would we have a sense of the possible number of dog owners that might show up ahead of time? Because if, let's say...
I don't think a lot are going to, because I don't think they want it to look like a wave or anything, but just, I wouldn't say more than 5 or 10.
Okay.
It should be fine.
And it's all about that. It's not a regular
One item,
selectmen's
yeah.
meeting where they take up,
Well, I think they're going to have, I was at the meeting this morning for the fireworks, and there's some other hearing they're doing that day too.
but is
So-
it part of that same one? That they'll be,
Same.
in other words, will there be a bigger crowd because there's a bigger agenda?
Yeah, and it could be, yeah. I should let Joe know that there could be some people that come to that.
So they would, if there is going to be another meeting, they would have it at the same time as
Yeah.
our hearing.
Or
Because they're not going to come back then, right, or they're not going to
It'll
come
be
back
one
later.
meeting with several
Yeah,
agenda
they're not going to come
items.
back later on in the
Right.
evening, so we can assume it's going to be that morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Both,
I think it is actually part of their regular meetings. They meet every
Oh,
other week. And
okay.
they met today, so that'll be it will be a regular
Yeah.
meeting with the hearing before it.
Okay. One of the concerns raised is one we've already addressed, and that was residue of waste. What does that, is there a danger there? But we had already addressed that with Dennis Johnson, and we've said such, but it still came up. So I suggested to some of the the people who are interested in this hearing and issue, that they contact Dennis Johnson and make sure that he is apprised of the hearing and that he can speak to that, because he was very clear that residue, as long as it's picked up, the remaining residue of any kind would be taken care of by salt water and sun.
His testimony would be very, very, very important, particularly to allay any concerns by the Shellfish Commission.
Right, and they are going to invite the Shellfish Commission, so. But as Rick points out, the concern of waste is a much more serious one when it comes to the Canada geese.
Yes.
Much more serious, and
And the ospreys above.
You need the dogs to chase the cows.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
exactly.
true. It might make it better.
You need
Might make
dogs
it
on
better. Maybe
beaches.
we could have the dogs at Quantico, because that's where we have the biggest goose
Yeah.
problem. Anyway, so that was it, and they'll be coming up in 2 weeks.
I'll be there. Item D, the transportation grant, Rick.
I can't remember if it was since the last meeting or before the last meeting. Did he mention that Terry and I had met with, it must have been the last meeting, with the Greater New Haven Transit people. We're working on scheduling of some extra hours with the drivers, and, how we're going to schedule them. We have not heard anything in writing officially yet from the state about that grant, but we are assured we're getting it. We just haven't gotten a letter saying we got it. But the Greater New Haven Transit District, who normally got the funding, knows that we're getting at it, and they acknowledged that when we met with them. So we don't actually get the money up front anyway. It's a reimbursable, so we have to keep records and what hours, what extra money did we spend this year on it, and then I think it's quarterly we get reimbursed. So quarterly we'll keep records, and they send us a check.
So at some point, they'll report back to us that we actually have
Have the grant.
Yes, yeah.
Good.
Now, Rick, could I just ask one question as an addendum to that? On the Terry Buckley's report on the bus trips in April, she put down that they traveled 36,000 miles for, did they go to a Cubs game or?
Well, that's passenger miles, so the miles was 6,400. Oh, yeah, wait a minute, April? Oh, yeah, let's see. I got a feeling it's the
Yeah, we can
three.
Cuban on that.
I think it's 6,894. I think the three it's a typo.
I should hope so, but it was just, it
Yeah.
caught my eye when you started talking
Yeah.
about the transportation, and I just like, yeah, they must be going to
Joe's
Wrigley,
game.
go to Wrigley Field or someplace.
We're checking out how the mileage goes on highways, what kind of mileage we get. I'll double check that, but I think that's a typo.
I'm sure it is.
It's similar to the concept of airline passenger miles or railroad passenger miles. Maybe 36 is a little bit up there.
Yeah, I think it's 6,894. I'll confirm that.
Okay.
Good catch.
And subsection E, the community center, Veterans Improvements Committee.
We'll set a date tonight. We're going to do that very shortly.
And F, proposal to name the Guilford High School baseball field for Ralph Chapani Jr.
I had sent I had read the draft. I had taken your recommendations to change the wording to reflect what you wanted to have in there. I composed the letter and I sent it to Chairman Bloss of the Board of Education Committee, so it's on his desk right now.
Okay.
So I guess we'll have to wait to hear from that. And I also spoke with one of the Board of Selectmen too, and also had said that this was what our intention was, to ask that the high school field be named after him, and he seemed to support the idea as well.
Good, great.
I know, I looked at some of the Board of Education policies, and they have hundreds of policies, a policy for everything. And they do have one for naming schools or school facilities. So it's a pretty extensive process. But nonetheless, they specifically allow for fields. So it's a long process.
I had mentioned to, I happened to be talking to Bea Chapani at one point. I let her know that the commission was, she was very, very overwhelmed, very, very thankful that the commission wanted to do this. So,
How about the Standing Fields Committee? Didn't they make a recommendation as well?
they did.
They did.
Not to the Board of, no, because I told them
That we were doing
that
it.
John was doing it, so they're also very supportive of that, naming the field for Ralph.
because they could be part of the documentation process that's necessary.
Mhm. Yeah, if we need that, the more, I mean, if you hear anything back, John, let me know if they need more from,
Sure.
because I think John Kennedy was interested in, he proposed it also from the field committee.
Okay. When I hear back from Chairman Blas, I'll let everybody know. Hopefully it'll be in time for the next month's meeting.
Oh, that's great, John.
The kiosk.
Oh, there's a dirt hole out there.
Yes.
I think, yeah, it started today. I think I handed out, did I give to all of
It
you?
was a bocce court.
A letter from Russia?
No.
No,
No.
Did we keep this on?
no.
What are we doing?
Summarize.
Yeah, just give us an update.
I'm sorry, I thought I made a copy.
It's all right.
He's
So-
the architect that's doing the building?
Yes. Want me to just read it to you?
Sure.
It's,
Sure, go for it.
I wanted to update you about the construction of the new tourism kiosk on the south side of your parking lot. Greg Makula is going to do the construction with the town public works, doing the excavation work. They're planning to mobilize on Monday, June 1st, which they did today. He thinks it'll take about 3 months. We have discussed utilizing the town internet connections and line voltage power at the community center with Joe and Tony Santangelo to minimize the long-term costs in the town, since they will be carrying the cost of these utilities. So we agreed to see if there was an easy path through an existing conduit to get line voltage across the drive to the kiosk. For the Wi-Fi, Tony seemed comfortable with our adding a new outdoor wireless access point to the south side of the community center so the kiosk had good wireless access. And Tony said it would not be open to the public and only recognize the kiosk iPad and touchscreen as planned in the plaza. So he wouldn't have access to anything here. Then in order to look to, then he just talked about meeting with me to look at the blueprints about getting here. So they started it, they said it'd probably be, into August sometime before it's completed. So this is the beginning of it. Anthony, our custodian, found the blueprint, and I showed the guys here where the conduit is, so they wouldn't hit anything, because it comes right out of that light pole there. And the public works guys, they thought that the recent thing is they're going to tie into a line off the street, not try to come through the parking lot. They have to dig up our parking lot to get access here.
That's not
That
working.
could be a nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Although Jim Porley's working with me, we have money in this year's budget to redo this parking lot. We're trying to get that scheduled at some point, which is going to be very hard, because there's never a day that there's not something going on here.
Well, you have to pick the day and everyone will have to go
Yeah.
adjust, that's all.
So, I mean, I let them know that it's not getting totally dug up, but we are grinding out the asphalt and, putting new asphalt down at some point. But I have not met with Russ. I got this last Tuesday, I think, or maybe it was a week before. And I didn't have a lot of time last week. I wasn't available to meet with him, but I said, just let me know. We can look at the blueprints together. And so I'm not sure when they're going to make the connection, but the project has started.
Great.
Rick, I just have one question for, are we going to segregate or sequester some parking for people to use the kiosk out of our parking spots that we have here? Because we don't have any parking out on the street for them to stop, since it's a no parking area in front. Have we considered as how we're going to let people come in to use the kiosk?
No, I think we talked about that in one of the meetings when they came and gave a presentation. We expressed a little concern about the parking, and I think their indication or assumption was that the most of the traffic would be on weekend afternoons, when there's a little less use of the building than
Okay.
like during the weekday. Maybe, 2 or 3 people may come, I mean, we have really a bigger issue with people frequenting our neighbor here, Perkon Church, parking here. And I've talked with them in the past about their employees not parking. We need the parking for people who use the building. And it's hard to control that. I mean, we don't have somebody out there checking IDs, say you're here for the community center, you're not. I mean, it is a public parking lot, but I don't want to have senior citizens or young mothers, with babies in a stroller having to walk a long way. I want them to be able to park here. And so to answer your question, if I remember correctly, the indication from the GPA was that they didn't expect a lot of daytime use, weekday use, to be more weekends when there's a little less traffic here.
Okay.
Agenda item number 9, new business, the program coordinator's position, Rick? Update?
Yeah, well, Jack and Judy sat on the interview panel. We had 30 applicants. We narrowed it down to 17 for, to 17, and then Ellen came up with like a little bit of a test that we sent out. There were some questions they had to answer. They had to create a program, a flyer, a press release, an aquatics orientation, and a 1 week of camp program. And so from that 17, we knocked it down to 9 based on those responses. And we had some good candidates. Can't say who the job would be offered to, because no job has not been offered yet. I don't think we want to publicly say who it might be. But Mitch is checking background checks and references and so on. And once he gets back on that, we'll.
So I guess the question is, will it be soon?
I hope we know by tomorrow.
Okay, that's soon enough for me.
And pretty much everybody said they would need 2 weeks, so we're
2 weeks
talking
was what they
mid-June
said.
at the earliest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would have been nice if we had them a month ago, but.
Well,
But, yeah, as long as we have them on board before we start full spurt, I mean, they're not gonna know a lot. They're not gonna be able to just jump right in and say, hey, I'm gonna take over the aquatics, or I'm gonna take over camp. They're not gonna be able to do that. They're gonna have to work into it some, but beyond that, we have, our summer sizzler coming up, we got the community picnic and fireworks, and there's enough time for them to get involved to get those things going.
true, good. Okay.
9B, the personal flotation device policy.
I guess,
Matter.
I gave everybody a little bit of a packet here, a few pages.
From the insurance, right?
From the insurance company, I spoke with Joey Barber, he's our KERMA insurance representative. Last week, he said that he was having a meeting Friday, which he did, and he emailed me this late in the day Friday. I looked at it over the weekend. But we had, Ellen got a hold of one of our other people who works with us in aquatics, and they gave a summary of some of the things they've investigated. If you look at the other couple pages, there's a little summary from the Red Cross manual. She has a couple towns she had contacted who don't allow flotation devices of any type, which is our current policy. But then I know she had the big aha, I'm not sure what that was. But DEP, you see in there that they prohibit all flotation devices except, in number 1 there, U.S. Coast Guard approved PFDs worn by swimmers.
Right.
So my concern was that, and this is when I spoke with Joey Barber, our insurance representative, is that I don't want to put another layer of responsibility or difficulty on our lifeguards. It's a pretty easy policy right now, is there are none allowed. It's not just a policy, it's written into the town ordinances. And
So it would require an ordinance change?
I believe so. I mean, I
Which
can check with
requires a
Pam.
hearing.
If the commission decides you want to change it, I can ask her, does it have to go through a whole process, or is this a simple thing we can just allow? But it is an ordinance currently. There are no flotation devices allowed. That went back to 1994. I initiated that policy back then. And the reason for it was I had consulted with a guy who, his name was Ralph Johnson. He was a national authority on aquatic safety from the Indiana State University. And his recommendation, I didn't talk to him directly, I went online and got information, but their policy was based on a flotation device gives a parent a false sense of security. They don't feel like they have to watch their child as much. It gives the child a false sense of security. It also increases the length of time that a child learns how to swim, because they don't have to do anything. If you don't have it, you just kind of do stuff, tread water and paddle and whatever. However, that was 1994. I wanted to find out, what are the authorities saying on it? Our insurance company's recommending we should allow them for people who can't swim. Red Cross looks like they're recommending it.
Yes, they have them at the
DEP is
Y,
recommending
the Y has them at.
So, times change. In 1994, there was a rule saying you can't have dogs on, sand areas. 2014, 15 it said that, but it made sense to change.
Right.
And so, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I pushed for that in 1994.
Therefore, it stays.
I'm not going to change it. If it makes sense to do it, and we're being told by all these authorities, then I think we got to look in that direction. But again, the only thing I don't want to do is create a difficult task for the lifeguards. And I mentioned that to Joey, and he also said, we do not recommend making the responsibility of lifeguards to check or verify their Coast Guard's approved. Just put signs saying this is what's allowed. That's the only thing. If the lifeguards, if they, for whatever reason, they question something and it doesn't look like it's the right type, they could then challenge the person and say, look, that isn't certified, you can't have it.
I think the
But again, I
lifeguards
don't
should
want
know.
to create a greater burden on our lifeguards.
But the lifeguards should know what those devices are and what they look like.
But there must be a chart that shows
That's what he
all
said,
the
they
different
need to know it.
PDFs that are approved. There must
Then
be.
a Coast Guard, but they should know that.
We have them,
There might be a
Coast Guard
chart.
must
Sure.
we have them at Lake Quantico, because we provide them for the people in the paddle boats and the,
Right.
and they're different ages, different sizes.
Okay.
Because again, they're not going to verify, hey, that 4-year-old's got the wrong size, they're going to slip through
No.
it. The parents got to take some responsibility.
Absolutely.
Claire, you got little ones. I mean, if you don't mind my asking, what do you think about it?
When I'm at the beach, I do not have them in them. At my house and my pool, absolutely.
Yeah.
But down at the beach, no.
Because they're not allowed, or because,
I don't know, even at Ham and Acid, I don't put on his, it's part of his swimsuit, I don't put it on.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did with mine at the beach.
I think it's
In the
something to do
pool,
with the
yeah.
waves, I'm like, I don't know.
But see, also in the pool,
They have to
it's
know.
over the child's head. You know, the
Right.
water, you could go
Right.
that deep. If you don't feel comfortable going any deeper, that's as far as you go, you know? But the only, again, and as parents, you notice, it can give parents a false sense of security if they don't watch their
Absolutely.
child as much. The responsibility still has to be with the parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our lifeguards are there, you know, watching, but the parent has to
I
take the
think that
role
would
in
be
too.
I think that's part of my concern is that, you know, you get lost in conversation or lost in your book.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, he's got a life jacket on.
Right.
So my
Oh,
kids
who
are.
are you talking about?
I haven't read a book since high school. No, I'm just kidding.
Since
you had kids at least.
But yeah, I don't think I would be comfortable with my children, and it just.
Well, look at the
has-
reverse. If they don't have a life jacket on,
Well,
probably at a greater risk.
I'm in the water with them.
Yeah.
They're never away from me.
Yeah.
So
I think, well, probably because you and I both have pools, I've always been a little crazy about this with, you know, and getting them
Yeah.
Yes.
water
To swim.
safety skills very early
Absolutely.
on, and I really do think it gives you a false sense of security. Whenever kids have come over my house and they're little and they've got the swimmies on, they really think that they can do it,
Yeah.
and they really can't, you know, and that's one part of it that I read, the swimmies, that.
Well, I think
part
that there-
has
has to be made very
Yeah.
clear, you know, tubes, swimmies, those are not.
Yeah.
If the commission decides, what my recommendation would just be the Coast Guard.
I
absolutely.
agree,
Yeah.
That's it,
absolutely.
nothing else.
Nothing
Life
else,
vests.
then you're gonna
You
get
know?
tubes and.
Yes, no, we don't want any of those.
Plastic wraps and
I think that there's a difference between allow and encourage. I don't think we'd ever want to encourage even the use of PDFs that are approved.
Yeah.
But I think it's a rights issue. If a parent just does not feel like they should have their child near the water, you cannot go out in a boat under 12 years old without
That's right.
wearing one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's encouraged even for adults.
Yeah.
Even old
I do.
people
I
are
remember
encouraged.
Go kayaking, I always wear one.
Yeah, well,
I
you have
remember
to.
years ago, the Y wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow anything in the pool.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a woman there who had triplets with her, and they wouldn't let her have something on them, so they had to leave, and I remember thinking, that's a situation where you really do
It's a little
need
different.
something, and you've got one parent there. So for those, especially for those kind of situations, yeah, I would definitely think.
So
they
that's the
need
difference
something.
between allow and encourage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
At the Y now, they have plenty of disabled
Yeah.
people who wear them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my vote would be to allow only the recommended
Only
by the
PFDs, yes.
by the Coast Guard, yes.
I agree.
And not make the lifeguards, it's a parent's responsibility
Mm-hmm.
to adhere, but it would be the lifeguard's responsibility to know the different types that were and weren't.
Right.
Not that they're going to inspect them, but if they see somebody, what's a swimmy?
Those are those
Those little
armbands
things,
they put
armbands.
on.
Oh, those
the little
things?
Yeah.
Oh, those.
They blow up.
Yeah.
Oh, those things, yeah.
Sometimes the arm
Yeah.
slips out of them.
Yep.
They always made me nervous.
So Rick, would you follow through with that?
But do we need a vote, a formal
Probably.
vote from the commission? Because then my next step, I probably would talk to Pam Millman and find out, is this something we can implement, or do we go through the whole ordinance process? And
Okay.
if that's the case, it would be, midsummer before we would do anything.
Well, still have to
So
get
would
it
someone like to
started,
make a
so-
motion?
Sure, I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Rick, when you purchase a pass, I know I purchased the pass to the beach, but I have baby brain. When you get your pass, do you get a sheet with rules or where it's good.
Supposed to. I think if they get them here, they might. I don't know if we got them at the beach or not, but yeah, because that's all in there, like no smoking, I mean.
Because then I'm
no
just
dogs,
wondering if this is new.
You gotta wear clothes and all that stuff. That's all in there.
Good to know.
It is in there.
Is this something that we'd have to include
We should,
a
yes.
description
Yeah.
of
Yes.
what is
Yeah.
and what's not?
We would revise that to put
Okay.
that in there.
I mean, a lot of the things we've talked about, like even the proposed ordinance for the dogs, I mean, a lot of this is going to have to require some educating the public.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't imagine people are gonna come out of woodwork and we're gonna just now get
No.
hundreds of people coming to
No.
life jackets. I think
I don't
for the
either.
few that maybe feel more comfortable with it, then it just provides that opportunity for them.
Right,
And you might have to change the signs at both of those beaches, too.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do we vote?
You did?
Yes.
Want to do it again?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So it was unanimous.
Abstentions? Unanimous.
Okay, thank you for addressing it.
Before we adjourn, I just.
Oh, we
have-
still have
one more
six.
thing.
One more.
Well, the fireworks!
Fireworks, the most important.
You're doing really pushing this meeting.
You guys are really on a roll tonight, huh?
John, you're off, 'cause you're not sitting on this side.
I know, I'm a kilter right now.
There you go.
Fireworks, what?
Fireworks, we had, we solicited 3 quotes, we got 2. It was also put on the town's website. Only 2 companies submitted quotes. I went to the Board of Selectmen meeting this morning because I had to get it approved by them. So I'm sorry I didn't go to you first, but it's backwards, but they did approve it. But there were 2 companies. One was Blue Sky Fireworks for $10,000 and Atlas for $11,500. I recommended Atlas for a number of reasons. One is Blue Sky did not meet the specifications. We asked for 20 references, they gave 3. They told me they do mostly weddings and private parties, so I don't think they're accustomed to doing large-scale events like ours.
Yeah.
I was just too nervous going with a different company, I don't think they
Yeah.
can meet the expectation that we have.
Is Atlas what we used before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Atlas we've done every year since we've had it. They're
Well.
phenomenally good. The fire department is very positive with, their safety record is impeccable. And if you look at the proposal, I mean, it's just, there's no comparison, the way it was written and everything. But they just didn't meet the specifications that we asked for. So we felt comfortable recommending Atlas Pyrovision. So I
Good.
just wanted to let you know
Okay.
that that's what we
Thank you.
recommended, the Board of Selectmen approved.
Do you guys have to go out to bid every year if you're happy with the company that's doing it?
We do, because it was not, in this case, it's not really a bid, we have to get quotes. It's
Yeah.
not the bid amount, but every year we do, and either their price has always been the best, or like this year, the others didn't meet the specifications.
Right.
If it's over a certain amount, you have to go out to bid, right?
Yeah, over 25,000, yeah.
John, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
You're on,
back
John.
under old business, I'd just like to ask a couple of questions that are not on the agenda. We had talked about having a food wagon down at Jacob's Beach. Are we doing that right now?
Yeah, I think I announced at the last meeting, it's the taco truck.
guy.
It is the taco.
Yeah, he came in today, he's gonna start tomorrow, actually. There were a couple, the certificate of insurance he gave me didn't name the town additional insurance, so I needed that, so he got that. And there was one issue, the health department, there was some little bit of a water leak in his truck, I think. The sink was leaking, whatever. He got that repaired, and he was going to the health department after leaving me today to show him that that was fixed. So he's gonna start tomorrow.
And the only reason why I ask is I hadn't seen it down there in the trips that I had made.
Yeah, because I told him, where were you at Memorial Day?
You were at Memorial Day
Lifeguards, where's the taco truck?
Yeah.
They were hungry.
Okay, I didn't know if that's, for some reason, it got pushed to it later.
I told them that there are some occasions that people who have private picnics have rented out, like the pizza truck.
Yeah.
So I told them there are some times that's going to happen. Not every day, but if the pizza truck's there, it's really for the picnic, they're not really for the rest of the public. Although I said I can't guarantee they're not going to sell a slice of pizza if somebody shows up. And I told them Soccer Fest is June 27th, I think it is there. And that they have a very, very big crowd, and they usually do hot dogs, hamburgers themselves. But also the Soccer Fest know the taco truck's going to be there too. So I want to let him know there are going to be certain occasions where he's not going to be the only one there, but he's the only one who has a contract to be there daily. There'll be occasions where someone else might be there. He's a very, very nice guy, very respectful.
He has
very
2 trucks,
thankful.
doesn't he?
He bought a second one for here. He'll be at the fireworks. I talked to him today about maybe Summer Sizzler that's down on the beach, said he'd be there anyway, but he said, you know what, maybe he can work out a little meal deal, for families, give a little better price, because there'll be 300 or 400 or 500 people down there for that, and we'll not do hot dogs and hamburgers, because we cook them ourselves.
Yeah.
So you can have it.
Yeah.
I can use the staff doing other things rather than
Yeah.
cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, but, see if we can work out a little better price for people for that day, because you'll have a lot of business. Then I also talked to him about the community picnic. The last couple of years, we have not had any food vendors there. It used to always be the Lions Club, and the last couple of years, they were involved with, I think, something else the same weekend or same day. So I said, if you want to do something for that too, and you can do that for a little while, then head over to the fairgrounds for the fireworks. So we'll see how it works out. Nobody knows how he'll do financially. I said, I know you're taking a risk because he's paying us for the exclusive privilege to do this and giving us a pretty good chunk of money for it. But, when you're a vendor,
Hopefully it'll
there's a
pay out.
risk.
And the
Okay.
Nick Fradiani Day, there were about 8 food trucks.
Yeah, they all met with Brian
McGlone.
McGlone, got them all signed up for that. Yeah.
Just one last thing, reminder.
I don't think John's
No,
finished.
go ahead. You're chairman, go.
Oh,
Mike has his
You
privileges.
said you had a couple of things.
I know, I only asked one.
You only asked one, keep going.
But the
second
Well,
but the
that's-
second
that
one
was
is
the
very
first
simple too.
topic.
What is our progress with the science building being, heading in our direction?
It's here.
It's here?
That was the other, one of the other agenda items at the meeting of
Okay.
the selectmen. And the representatives in Bloss was there, and the principal, no, Freeman,
Dr.
the
Freeman.
superintendent, yes.
Superintendent.
Saying how, why it happened, which I hadn't really understood to that point. And that it's going to happen, and it will be, they talk about it coming to the town, not
Mhm.
Park and Rec, but we know it's going to be our responsibility.
Mhm.
But there was no discussion of money or maintenance fees or anything like that.
That is
Maintenance
still my
costs.
concern about that, is that
Yes.
it does not have utilities on its own. Everything comes from the main building.
Right.
So everything has to be recreated for that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
actually,
that is correct.
the architect who was involved in that project was at the meeting today when I was here. He was right before me with the fireworks, and so I heard some of that, and he brought a blueprint, showed what it may look like, and how, there's going to be kind of a spin bike, sort of aerobic section, and then a weightlifting section, separate area. It's going to be air conditioned, but he did mention how, just as you're saying, they got to bring separate utilities in for it, and they're going to do that. And the Board of Ed is paying for that, or the town somehow. It's not coming out of our
They're
budget.
paying for the hookup.
For the connection, yeah.
Yeah.
Utility cost is in our budget.
Right.
For next
Okay.
year,
It's in there?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't, again, I keep hearing that the building's going to be torn down during the summertime, but I still haven't heard anything from the Board of Education meeting as to what's going to happen with the building as it's being transitioned over, so.
They're working on the renovation of it, that's all, they're taking care of that, and I was at a couple of the meetings when we had some discussion about it. But the Board of Ed / town, someone other than Parks and Rec is paying for all that, but we have the gas and electricity in our budget for next year.
Just for the record, John, torn down isn't raised. Torn down is disconnecting the current utilities from.
Well, I'm talking about the old high school being torn
Oh,
down
okay.
and ripped apart. Okay.
The reason for the transfer to the town has to do with the fact that it was built at a separate time with funding,
With
partial
funding.
funding from the state.
Yes.
So if they tore it down in building the new school, they'd have to give some of that back.
Correct.
But if they kept it as part of the new school and part of the school itself, they would have to get less money for the new school. So it made sense. And in fact, special legislation was passed to make it possible to turn that building on the site over to the town.
Good.
And they always use the town, not
Park
Park
and
and
Rec.
Recreation.
Okay. Take it away, Jack.
Just a reminder, our July meeting is going to be on Monday, July 13th. So it'll be the second Monday in July, July 13th.
It'll be right after the fireworks.
And have a happy Independence Day.
And we'll be able to tell you how it went, or hopefully you'll see it.
And again, Rick, for the television folks, will the fireworks be?
It would be Saturday, July 11th, rain date the 12th, at the fairgrounds, with the community picnic first from 4 to 7 on the green, and that features the community band that Mark Gom expertly puts together every year. It's really phenomenal. If you haven't been to the concert, you got to see it. They have 4 rehearsals with 100 people, and they put on an hour-and-a-half concert. It's just remarkable what he does with that. And with that, there's also the activities for the kids. We've got the giant inflatable slides, moon bounces, climbing wall. We're working on a few other things, some other entertainment this year. That's 4 to 7, and then at the fairgrounds, around 7, we have some more moon bounces, climbing, giant inflatables for the kids, because people get there early, so we keep them entertained. And then we have a band called Bad Moon Rising. They're Creedence Clearwater Revival band. We had them last year. They were very, very, people loved them. And their name is Bad Moon Rising. Last year, they're playing that song, this huge full moon came rising up. It was like, what? This is crazy. It was beautiful. So we have them back again.
Good.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I shall second that.
Is anyone opposed to that?
Absolutely not.
All those in favor?
Adjourn.
Aye.
Adjourn until July 13th.